You do a lot of research on entrepreneurship. If you were to break that up in emerging markets to focus more squarely on women entrepreneurs and give your key takeaways from what you've learned through your body of work in terms of what you think women entrepreneurs are getting right, what do you think they're not getting right, and what could potentially be the way forward?
So I would say the big picture is not that different from, just to caricature, let's say, Silicon Valley and Bangalore. Okay? I don't think it's that different vis-a-vis women being underrepresented in entrepreneurship, risk capital being disproportionately less allocated to women in both societies. For those of you who have any awareness or exposure to Silicon Valley, there have been a wave of scandals in the last few years talking about explicit discrimination against women, lack of capital going towards women. So at least there's a recognition of this. So at some macro level, sadly, the pattern is not that different, whether it's an emerging market or not. I would say, if anything, it's exacerbated, worsened in the developing countries, where we don't yet have the formal institutions built up to promote sections of society that have been relatively left out in the past. Whereas in the US or developed societies, you can go to the courts and this and that and get some redress, at least in theory. So the patterns are the same. They're a bit worse in countries like India than they would be in the US. And this is there's so many levels at which this is costly. The first thing is biases in decision making. Right? There's some really good research from one of my colleagues published in the very prestigious journal Science, Rem Kenning. And he and his team show that women entrepreneurs, women inventors are far likelier, statistically likelier, to a significant extent, to develop products for women. Right? So think about that for a second. To the extent that you are surrounded by just one demographic, males in this instance, and the women are left out, you're probably leaving money on the table because you're not identifying opportunities that would be much more obvious to someone who's had a different lived experience. And I suspect that translates into different disenfranchised communities, not just women and men. So that's a big deal. That's, rupees or dollars on the table that can be corrected. And the smart money is paying attention to it now.